The first reference to Operation Fast Freight was in the N&W magazine in March of 1950, and it was done by Willard Pictures of New York City. Uh, T.W. Willard being the principal in it. And this flowing Southern text was written by a gentleman by the name of Frank Beckwith. And there were three main films they did: Operation Fast Freight, Modern Coal Burning Steam Locomotive, and The Power Behind the Nation, which was primarily focused on the coal industry. They did a VOCA film in 1938 to commemorate the 100-year centennial, and a few other things that have turned up hither and yon. And there's been a lot of push offs on this: Time Freight to Tidewater by Black Hawk, and then Jim Herron did kind of a spoof on it with a train from Ohio over to the Tidewater area of Virginia. But to me, this is the best film that speaks to the N&W as we love and knew it that's ever been put together. And you have to, every couple of months, to, if you lose your enthusiasm, you have to watch this film to kind of get some of it back.
Agreed. Okay, so let me sort of set the stage here. What I would propose that we do, sort of like what we did on the first movie night, was that we just, after a little bit of introduction, we'll start the film, and I'm just going to let it run. We can comment. Those of you that have more knowledge about places and operations and that thing can just chime in anytime you want to and add to the wealth of the narrator and what we've got. And that way, the recording of this session will be available for people in the future, and keep some of this knowledge alive. We owe a great thanks to Rex Tees, the fellow that took these films and re-digitized them, cleaned them up, and produced some very good quality renderings of some of these movies that Mr. Hensley was just describing. So what I would like to do at the very beginning is just show a little snippet that Rex has produced that shows the difference between what you find out there on YouTube and what you can rent. I think it's on Vimeo. For $3, you can rent the cleaned up version. So let's real quick just take a look at the difference between the normal version and the cleaned up version. I'll see if I can share my screen here and give us something to look at. All right. Does everybody see Norfolk and Western film restorations before and after?
Right.
Yep, I see it.
I'm going to try to make it full screen and then let it play for a few seconds.
Good.
Virginia, headquarters of the Pocahontas Division. On time, opened into Bluefield, West Virginia, headquarters of the Pocahontas Division. On time, opened into Bluefield, West Virginia, headquarters of the Pocahontas Division.
All right. So hopefully everybody could see a pretty remarkable difference between the two versions of that scene. So Mr. T's put in a whole lot of work in cleaning these videos up to present what we're going to look at tonight. So I would encourage you in the future, as Tim says, when you need a little re-energization about N&W, that you might go out to the Vimeo site and rent the cleaned up version for $3. Not very big deal, and it's certainly a much better experience.
Apparently, they made 7 or 8 takes of each of these scenes that you see in the
Is that
movie.
right?
Some of that's in there too.
All right. So if everybody's ready, without further ado, I'll go ahead and start tonight's feature. Like I said, the people that know some additional information about the different scenes and operations and what's going on, please feel free to interject your comments. Then after we've watched it through one time, we can run through it again. For those of us interested, we can run through it again, pause it at different places, and examine it in whatever level of detail you would care to. So let me go ahead and start the movie.
I don't hear any sound. Does everybody hear sound?
Not me.
Nope. Nope.
I'm sorry. Did we have a problem with the sound?
Yeah, we can't hear the sound.
Yeah, we got a problem.
Usually when you share, you have to click a button that says share my computer sound. Audio.
Okay, let me go back and see what I need to do.
Andre, you'll like some stuff that's in here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, those Bristol line shots are great. The 30 seconds of them that's on there.
Yeah. Larry knows a lot about it too. Larry can pitch in and throw his 2 cents worth in.
Okay. I think I finally see it. Share sound. Makes sense.
Zoom has a lot of ways to confuse you, I
Yeah,
found.
well, it's easy to confuse me, so that's not saying very much. All
You're
right,
not
let's try
alone.
this again. Everybody, somebody give me a thumbs up. Hear the Is that any better?
All set.
Watch it! Check N&W 50, 450 out.
Had 2 freight houses at Columbus, an inbound and an outbound. Some of these door guards that you'll see that collectors have posted. Of course, this was filmed before the S1A. You'll see M's and Park Service.
It's any night in the week, rain or shine, at the Norfolk and Western Joyce Avenue Yard in Columbus. And they're making up time freight 86, eastbound for Portsmouth, Ohio, Williamson and Bluefield, West Virginia, Roanoke and Norfolk, Virginia. N&W 50, 450 couples into its right place. Couples into time freight 86. On this road, time freights move with the precision of crack passenger trains.
1226.
I don't know. I've had 30 years on the Norfolk and Western. I've seen men and equipment move practically anything that has reason to roll over these rails. There's the highball. Let's go. It's 9 o'clock and 86 is getting out of town. When 86 moves, the product of the land moves along with her. The word goes out. The telegraph sends the news. 86 is on her way through the night.
High-speed speed.
N&W time freights speed through a rich, progressive six-state area. Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Maryland. This is the land of plenty. The Norfolk and Western uses the words precision transportation when speaking of its service. That's more than a slogan. It's an accurate description. Over a century of railroading, thousands of skilled, loyal men and women, finest equipment money can buy or men can build, sound operation, cooperation with every shipper. It adds up to dependable freight service. People rely upon the railroad to move their products to market. They depend on the railroad for the distribution of food. They depend on the railway to empty their bulging barns of bright leaf tobacco. When the purebred steers are ready to move, the shippers turn to the N&W. The lumbermen know that the road will move their fragrant stacks of pine and upland hardwoods to market. Behind this diversification of cargo are the N&W's extensive studies on freight handling, packing, and loading. The railroad provides the proper power, and there's a car for every job designed to haul any product safely, dependably, and swiftly.
That's Virginia Bridge and Ironman.
The railroad has the equipment, but most important of all are the people who operate it. In every station along the line, the local agent is the Norfolk and Western. He's a telegrapher, a railroader, and chances are he's a well-respected man in the business and social life of his community. Your smallest shipment will receive his personal attention.
Some
Your
debate
box
as to
of
where
family
this
belongings will be shipped out with care and with dispatch.
I have a picture that was made during the movie that says Troutville Hatchery chicks. So I think those baby chicks, they came from Troutville.
Your shipment moves from person to person, each one an integral part of the Norfolk and Western system. In the same fashion, the general agents are trained to serve you. Conveniently located all over the United States, they anticipate your car needs, plan for loading, advise on rates, routes, and schedules. If your shipment is export, import, coastal, or intercoastal, the foreign freight agent is ready to help you. The great piers at Norfolk are part of the system. Among them is Pier N, newest of the lot. $6 million spent on the largest single-deck pier on the Atlantic coast. You're provided with every modern facility for the rapid, safe handling of your freight at piers that are designed to handle every type and size of vessel and cargo. Flags of all nations from ports of the seven seas meet in this great harbor. Norfolk is the gateway to markets of the world and one of the world's finest year-round ice-free harbors. You'll get personal service when you deal with the people who are the Norfolk and Western.
The shipments are beginning to move out, load by load, car by car, on all the rails that spread out through the system. We know they need that coal to fire the stacks of industry. The riveters will get to work when that girder gets there. The mills will grind when those cars of grain arrive. The department store will open when the carpeting is delivered from that modern rug factory. The shifters and the yard engines pick up the single cars, the strings of 2 and 3, and the local freights begin to build up. They hurry out of the stations, traveling the branch lines from every point on the compass. One thing that boosts them along is centralized traffic control. Trains moving from the east and from the west, moving fast. The position of every train in the district shows on the CTC board. With switch controls and signals, the dispatcher can keep them right under his thumb. Time was when such an operation could be dangerous and slow. Today, the dispatcher designates a siding, the trains pass without stopping. There's no lost motion,
Virginia, Andre.
and the entire operation is handled in complete safety. CTC.
Always
is an
thought of a
amazing
7-mile
improvement
Ford,
in
but
railroad.
yeah, I think you're right. It is Atkins.
The big parade is on. The pressure mounts. The fast freights of the Norfolk and Western are on the move. They push their way into the big classification yards. They pile into Roanoke, Virginia, heart of the system. They steam towards Portsmouth, Ohio. And when they get there, they're made up into even bigger trains. Around the clock it happens.
Coming out of Craig.
They wheel towards Williamson, vast assembly yard for westbound coal, right into the heart of West Virginia's great coal fields. All through the night, 86 has been pounding towards Williamson. And that's where we pick her up again. There's 50, 450, riding easy. Yep, 86 slides into the yard right on time. The minute the locomotive pulls in the clear for her replacement, inspection starts. I mean real inspection, car by car and wheel by wheel. We don't aim to have anything hold up 86.
Even those blue flags are collectibles.
The crew is changed. A fresh engine and a caboose are coupled on. And 30 minutes after arrival, we're ready to roll.
The old yard office in the background, that's gone now.
She leaves the way she came, on time. Once underway, the brakeman climbs up in the cupola to ride herd on his precious cars. And the conductor settles down to his wheel report. The report is the total train on paper and lists each car, its number, weight, and contents.
This is how a railroad keeps track of all the thousands of cars that move over it every day. It's done in the Car Records Office. Here the wheel reports are cut up, and each car becomes a separate tab to be sorted by number and a record of its movements made.
All
Here the
computerized
charges
now.
to other roads are compiled. The wheel report is the total train moving now through the coalfield region along Tug River. The plows cut
Merrimack
deep
Bottom
into the
right
valley.
there.
The upland hardwoods march over the
Always.
hills. Underground are vast deposits of all-purpose bituminous coal. Agriculture, industry, and king coal, and the railroad serves all three.
That's white. He's white paper.
Year after year, the Norfolk and Western plows back millions of dollars in improvements, new equipment, and maintenance. Railroad dollars,
bridges
not
changed out
taxpayers'
now.
dollars.
Larry and I saw him doing
Every man's a specialist on the Norfolk and Western, and every man's job is to build a better railroad. They're working for the freights of tomorrow. They have pride in the road, pride in keeping it one of the top road beds in all America. They're provided with the newest and best possible machines. Machines like this one, which tamps the ballast between and around and under the ties. The work on the line never stops. The high steel men swing girders into place on a new bridge. That bridge is a new
There's so
for an
much in
old
this
problem.
next section. I'm
A
going to go
problem
back
that
to
the
it after we're
pioneers of the
finished.
Norfolk and Western
This is the
had lit once
construction of
before.
the new
That
route,
bridge and
the
this
new
bill
Elkhorn
leads to a
Tunnel.
new tunnel through Elkhorn Mountain.
My dad worked on that bridge for
A new
Virginia
tunnel
Bridge
to
and Iron.
speed traffic and increase operating efficiency. The Norfolk and Western put $12 million into this project and cut the largest double-track railroad bore in the world, 7,000 feet long, through the mountain. And once again, the grade and curvature have been reduced.
Notice the electrification.
'86, on time, pulls into Bluefield, West Virginia, headquarters of the Pocahontas Division. In its consistent efforts to improve service, the N&W sends observers from its transportation department to study and record the train movements through the yard. One man, stationed at the head end, checks the time, technique, and work of handling the train from his observation post.
There's Bill Ross, Superintendent of
The
Transportation.
time
when
it
he
takes to
retired.
inspect the train is recorded. Operations at the rear end are watched by a second observer. The speed and efficiency with which the cars for Bluefield are cut out of the train is studied for possible time saving.
It's Ashburn Oliver, committed suicide.
With the change of crew and equipment, the timing observation is complete. Time Freight 86 is on the move again, and N&W 5450 rolls right along with it, headed for Roanoke.
Bill Ralston, Ashburn Oliver.
The observers get together to compare notes. The observations bring results. Daily performance proves it.
There's one of those watch boxes. Jim.
Gotcha. That would be a nice little project.
Along New River in Virginia, the Powhatan Arrow streaks by. One of our finest trains. A real fast streamliner that runs between Norfolk and Cincinnati. Our engineer and fireman check their readings of the automatic signals, and we gather speed as we roll through the rich New River Valley. Coal is the fuel we use and like, and I don't know a fireman who isn't proud of his ability to get peak efficiency out of it. When our engineer opens her up, he's dependent on work and skill and controls that he knows.
The locomotives are the handiwork of the designers, the builders, and the repairmen of the Norfolk and Western shops. Every time you see
Man
these
in the
men in a
rear
huddle,
is,
you know something
Gert
better will come
McGarry.
out of it. A better engine, improved consumption of fuel, faster handling of freight. In the shops, design reaches the most minute parts. The tool machines themselves are miracles of precision. If you must think of tons and miles, you also must think of milligrams and millimeters.
We talking metric.
You must
That
think
was
of
pretty
correct weight and
progressive for
balance
that time of.
if you are to think of high-speed freight. To ensure the most efficient design and the finest workmanship, the Norfolk and Western builds all of its modern locomotives, including the giant Y6B.
86 proves the work in the shops as she slides through the switches into Roanoke. Roanoke, Virginia, hub of the Norfolk and Western.
There's those watch boxes.
There's our shipment, still rolling. A crossroads location makes us one of the vital rail links of the nation. And we've got direct connections to the north and south, the east and the west. One of the more important operations in time freight railroading is the re-icing of perishables. The farmers and packers give us fresh fruits and vegetables to carry to market. We take pride in the fact that when we get them there, they're still fresh. Time Freight 86 is pushed up the hump, pushed up to a raised track, and cut apart into units which coast according to destination onto the many tracks to form new trains. Retarders slow the
the hump
cars
is
down
gone
to
now.
just the right speed for gentle handling. The tower operators handle the retarders and the switches. Scientific railroading, making up trains with a flick of the wrist. A lot of cars are added to 86. Many are cut out to join new trains. and through shipments stay with her all the way. N&W 50 450 rolls over and down the hump too, back into a new 86 after only a single day on the road, making up now for the overnight run to Norfolk.
Jim, that 5450.
You can set your watch fire as 86 leaves on time for the run to Tidewater.
Other time freights move out too. North to Hagerstown, Maryland, up the Shenandoah Valley. South to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to Piedmont and the Midlands.
Bigwag.
Southeast to Durham, and east to the ports of the Atlantic coast. Southwest to Bristol and Northern Virginia, west to Columbus and Cincinnati, Ohio. The strength of the nation rides on the rails. The reapers gather the wheat and the rye, and the mills ship flour to stores throughout the land. Homes in the making speed over the shining steel. Industry needs its raw materials. Iron and aluminum waits the flat. Steel rides on steel. The fork trucks stack wool for carpet. Tank cars form a swiftly flowing stream of oil. Others move on to private sidings, bringing chemicals for drugs. The stacked carboys carry bleaches, solvents. Dealers need stock to sell, dry goods and washing machines. Detroit ships its cars. Wheels ride on wheels. King Coal rides the rails. Raw material, fuel, and power packed in a coal car. The whistle signal for the farm town. Graders and threshers travel on flat cars. Trains haul tractors to work the land. Phosphate and potash arrive tonight. The telegraph sends the news. Fast freight rushing fence and wire. Feed for the stock, bran and oats and alfalfa. The speeding trains bear the strength of the nation.
It's 4:45 in the morning in the tower at Norfolk. 86 shows up on the board. The operator hangs out the welcome signal, and 86 rolls into town. And as you might expect, so does N&W 50 450. More than 100 years of railroading is rolling through its second century on time.
Heck, N&W 5450 again.
Jim, have you made any progress on that 5450 boxcar? Getting it modeled?
I'll have it in just a few minutes.
Also, did you notice that C&NW flat with the John Deere tractors? I'd like to find one of those in HO scale. I'd buy one of those.
There was I think there was a Y2, like about 2/3 of the way through. It was 1,700. Did anybody see that?
Well, I was just going to propose, if anybody's interested, I certainly would like to go back at least to one spot and talk about the place on the Pokey that's nearest and dearest to my heart, which is right there at the Mayberry and the new Elkhorn Tunnel there, because there's some really good scenes of that. Anybody else that would like to run through it again or go to specific places? How did everybody feel? Did they enjoy it?
Yeah, I like that Elkhorn area. My dad worked on that bridge. I still have his hat from Virginia Bridge and Iron up in the attic. My dad was an ironworker.
Yeah, I liked going back through last time when we did that and kind of stopping and talking. Tim, you were mentioning some people, and I couldn't really understand what you were saying. So if we get back through that,
Yeah, as we go back through,
Okay.
Tim, if you could tell us to halt and introduce the folks that you spotted, that would be great.
All right.
And if folks, I don't know if the chat would help in this too, but that can maybe get spellings, and you can record the chat too, or you can save the chat too, I think.
Yeah, this
All right.
movie hasn't looked this good since the second time it ran through a projector. Man, I saw a bunch of things in there I never saw before.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the DVD I've got of it.
Mr. Tease has done us a huge favor. So
Yeah.
like I said, if you ever want to watch this again, please consider going on to Vimeo and kicking $3 his way, because this is a tremendous thing he's done. All right.
Now,
Yes,
now you
sir.
just got to build a whole boxcar full of Kroger's box cookies.
Yeah.
They had that boxes of Dole. There are 3 or 4 other videos he's restored as well. So we'll hopefully get to watch a couple of those too.
All right. If there's no other immediate comments or discussion, I'll go ahead and start us off again. And please just feel free to jump in and say pause whenever you want to, and we'll take out time for discussion.
Yeah, the other thing is nobody models enough guys on top of cars. Holy cow.
I was wondering how often did people fall off? Because I mean, it had to happen.
Well, you know, if you tried to model that, OSHA would shut down your model railroad, right?
OSHA hadn't been created yet in 1949.
It wasn't even a wicked thought then, was it, Stoney?
No.
Yeah, car walking on a bright sunny day was one thing. Doing it in January with snow-covered roofs must have been another. So
Or
Yeah.
when the wind's blowing and coming. There are some miserable jobs in this world.
Actually recognize several places in here. To me, you see Columbus from that.
Watch it! Check NNW 50, 450 out.
Wonder how they did that without barcodes.
I never saw a boxcar door work there.
I bought one of those boxcar door latches up in Columbus at the railroad shed here back in December. Had NNW on it. Look at those old trailers over on the right.
There are a lot of them there. Yeah.
Okay, so is that a kerosene switch lamp there?
Darn speaker.
It's
Yes,
any night of the
there's-
week, rain or shine, at the Norfolk and Western Joyce Avenue Yard in Columbus.
What color
making
were
up time for
on the
86.
switch stands? I see
Eastbound
yellow.
for
What was the
Portsmouth,
other
Ohio.
side painted in steam?
Williamson and
red
Boothby,
and
West
green.
Virginia, Roanoke and Norfolk, Virginia.
I think they were yellow on both sides. weren't they?
NNW 50,
Those were
450,
red, they-
couples,
Red and green, weren't they?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw
Couples
the
in the
one that
time
was
frame
yellow. That's
86.
what threw me.
On this road, time freights move with the precision of crack passenger trains.
Most of them were yellow back in the steam.
So,
1226 with those odd cooling coils that you'll notice.
I don't know. I've had 30 years on the Norfolk and Western. I've seen men and equipment move practically anything that has reason to roll over these rails. There's the highball.
Okay, Mike, so those caboose markers are on 3 sides and red to the rear, is that right?
Let's go. It's 9 o'clock and 86
Yellow,
is
yellow to
getting
the
out of
side in
town.
front. All right.
When 86 moves, the product of the land moves along with her.
That 5450 would be a good model, Jim. I think everybody in the society would buy one.
If Tim,
The
if
word
I can
goes
find
out.
a good,
The telegraph.
what was it,
sends the
B7A? If I can find a good model of it, we'll do it.
Yeah,
86 is
B7A,
on
well,
our
good
way
luck with
through
that.
the night.
Nobody else had them but us.
N&W time freight speed through a rich, progressive 6-state area. Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Maryland. This is the land of plenty. The Norfolk and Western uses the word
Something else to
precision
notice
transportation
is
when
there's an
speaking
awful lot of
its service.
Z1s.
That's more than a slogan. It's an accurate
Makes
description.
sense. It's like, I don't know, 3 or 4.
Over a century of railroading.
I'm going to back up just for a second. Tim and I were having a discussion about doing a stock car.
That's
And I was
more than
going
a
to show him
slogan.
what was
It's an
unique
accurate
about.
description.
Yep.
You see the outside brace pattern there,
Right.
Tim?
Uh-huh.
To my knowledge, nobody produces, at least in HO, nobody produces that particular pattern.
Nope.
So I would love to be able to bring us a stock car, but I just don't know of a place to get an accurate model. Like I said, we got some different varieties when the merger came in with the Wabash and the nickel plate that I haven't exactly nailed down yet. But as far as doing an SK, I just don't know of a source for it.
No, there isn't. And in fact,
Over
like,
a
even
century of
Overland did
railroading.
one, and it's
Thousands
backwards.
of skilled, loyal men and women. Finest
That was
equipment
probably
money can buy
a Webster
or men
brick
can build.
there.
Sound
Mr. Roanoke.
operation. Cooperation
Roanoke.
with every shipper.
I'm sorry, Tim. Could you say that again? What I think people's voices are being pretty much muffled if we
Maybe
try to
turn-
get comments while the background is playing. So if you've got a comment, let me know, and I'll just say pause it, and then you can put your comment in. Maybe we can understand it. So go ahead, Tim.
That brick loading in the stock cars, that was probably at Webster, east of Roanoke up toward Blue Ridge there.
That's why we took a tour one convention.
Yeah, I remember that.
Get out, cat.
I heard a bunch of those showed up, or they showed up with some frequency on the Bristol line as well, just carloads of brick, stock carloads of bricks.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of livestock moved, a lot of brick.
You know, Jim, we've already played this with the sound. Maybe play it without the sound on the second time through.
Well,
Or
that,
maybe
that's a really good idea. If I can tempt fate one more time and see about canceling the sound out.
You just stop sharing and start sharing again, but don't press that.
All right. Share, unshare.
Mike, has he already done the modern coal-powered locomotive? Has he already done that film, or is that just in the process of being done?
I'll tell you what's in there. Give me a second.
Nobody's noticed our chairman, Mr. Frank Shears, with us there.
Hi, Frank.
Some of us noticed.
I didn't see his picture nowhere, but
All right. So thanks to Mike, for that suggestion. We'll now continue
He
without narration, and that'll make us be able to understand comments from the audience.
he does have modern coal burning. It's an hour and 15 minutes. He also
Okay.
has well, wait. There's two of those. Modern coal burning outtakes. That one's an hour and 15 minutes. I don't know if that's like B-roll film or what. And then he's got
Apparently, they shot 7 or 8 takes at each location.
okay.
And he was able to recover what was on the cutting room floor.
Wow.
I've seen those myself.
There's a Power Behind the
Different
Nation.
angles and all that. Power Behind the Nation has some railroading in it, but it's
Oh, did he get to cut?
mostly coal.
Okay, for those of you that know tobacco, is that a hogshead we're looking at?
Right?
That's a hogshead, yep.
A lot of that came off the Durham and Winston-Salem lines. Cattle loading, Clinch Valley, and Bristol lines were big areas.
How about that loading lumber piece by piece?
I
God.
can remember. I can remember. I can remember Lowe's, the first Lowe's in Huntington, unloading it like that.
Look at the big lumps of coal there.
Yeah, those are big.
That lumber come in like that, and then it gets shifted in the process, and it's just like unloading toothpicks one at a time.
Is that Kellysville?
Wileysville.
It says Rileyville there,
Wileyville, okay.
but this picture that I have shows it as Troutville with the chicks there. I got a picture of that guy unloading. It says Troutville hatchery chicks on it, stenciled on the box.
Makes
Also
sense.
looks somewhat like Boone's Mill there. Notice he's got the old khaki uniform and he's work clothes and he's wearing a tie and he's got the hat. I got a couple of those agents' hats. Look at this clown with his hat sideways and the bill turned up.
Look like Goober Pyle.
That's quite the tie there.
Yeah. Probably back in vogue today. Peer in.
I guess I hadn't noticed before that crane's only got one long leg.
Yeah, that part slides on the building. What's that moving with it though? Next in front of it.
Like lumber.
So it had a car that it could move along with it. That must have been how it took the load out to load into that's interesting. Coming in from South America.
That dole there, that could be cross coming around through the Panama Canal.
That pier's still there.
Hawaii. Had a big dole cannery in Hawaii.
Yeah, that too.
I think the
Until
work
1994.
There's one of those gondolas like I was talking about, Jim.
Milgon, yep. There's a few of those out there.
Big lump coal there.
That's Virginia Bridge in Roanoke. 3 guys on top.
Now, is that a wooden car there? I couldn't tell watching it the first time. That first wooden double door box car.
Hot car.
1445.
Yeah, there's the first Z1. There's a bunch of them.
I got the number plate off that one.
Neat.
Was that Andre that was asking about the boxcar?
Yeah, I was wondering if that's an old wooden car there. I couldn't tell.
The first one?
Yes.
It's small like one, isn't it?
Yeah, and the doors got that
Could be a foreign road car.
Yeah.
waist car there. It's
Sure looks like N&W on the right side there.
yeah.
It looks just like the stock car past it.
Yeah,
stock
yeah.
car.
Yeah, I've always wondered how many wood cars to have on my 1957 era model railroad, but I imagine there were still been a few. But
When was this filmed? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
1950.
50?
Okay.
When did the
probably 49 and it was released in March of 1950.
Okay.
Well, we got footage of the new Elkhorn Tunnel. So when was the opening of that?
50, I think, wasn't it?
50, 49, and 50. They worked on that.
I think the ribbon thing was 50, I think.
When would the Y6s have been the Y6Bs have been completed having their smoke boxes fixed or adjusted or improved?
I like that.
Back to the round door.
Yeah, because I notice all of them in here are the the old style.
Oblong.
Original
I like that.
I mean, they just, as they got shop, they got upgraded. I don't know if there's when the last one would have been.
So it wasn't done as a batch. Okay.
Right. No.
Seemed like I don't see any past like 53, 54. I was just kind of curious if there was they all happened at once.
The N&W was really standardized on like updates. And I mean, if they changed something, the next time locomotive come in, it got the updates. So, so I think people try to figure that out on them doors exactly. It's you get a lot of pictures from different eras there.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a doghouse. That's really for a
I
doghouse.
think it's that rug factory down there in on the Bristol line.
That doghouse rule was in the 40s, though, wasn't it? But they had to have a space for the brakeman or whatever.
I don't know if was there ever a rule or whatever, or was it just a company policy? I don't know if it was ever a rule. This is at Vicar here.
Well, that oblong smoke box door, that was hinged on the bottom. So you had to crawl over the door when you got it open.
Is that right? Wow. So Tim, is this board at Vicar as well?
Don't know where the board was exactly.
Wasn't the Bristol line at Walton? There.
Yeah, some of it was.
Hate to see a K1 pulling a coal
Yeah,
like that.
That's Adkins there.
Yeah, on the Bristol line. Yeah. Yeah, that K1 I figured was the Bristol line local with
Probably so.
I thought all the Shenandoah division was on one board in Roanoke.
Shenandoah was in Roanoke.
Yeah.
Where the Transportation Museum is now.
Yeah, they still got all the pieces of it, or most of them.
Larry's got the board out of Canova. That's 105 there.
Yeah.
There's a number plate on
105 there. Yeah, I got somebody going to get a picture of that for me. So they get down to Crew.
Yeah, the number plate is in the museum at Crew, and it's a cast aluminum. I'm looking up here above me at the 103.
So that's Atkins, Tim?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Had a big straightaway. They made a lot of speed down through there.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
Did a lot of automobiles down there. This is coming down the Columbus line there, toward Portsmouth.
Limestone.
Yeah. Limestone or hides. They had hides they put lime over. That's coming out of the tunnel at Grey Eagle, isn't it, Larry?
I don't know. I've looked at that several times. I couldn't swear to it, but
Yang, I've got to be going, but I'm going to be back next weekend. Look forward to seeing you all. Maybe I can stay the whole time next week.
All right. Good to have you.
Y'all take care, and I'll see you next weekend.
All right.
Bye now.
All right.
All right.
They got 2 carmen that cover the whole division between Portsmouth and Bluefield now, and they're in Williamson. They only got 2 shifters that work those the Pigeon Creek operations up there. That's all they got in Williamson now, as far as crews and whatever.
So that crew that was there, what did they do when there wasn't a train to inspect? What was their other jobs?
Well, they went through the journals, they flipped the lids and went through them, and they're looking for, see the big can with the journal.
Yeah.
In it, and of course they had blue flag protection. Those blue flags are collectibles now.
So what are they doing when there's not a train to inspect? Or was there always a train to inspect?
They had work out in the yard and whatever, other trains, and then there were shop tracks and things like that.
Yeah.
Had quite a shop track here in Williamson.
I didn't realize there was such a big rock cut there.
Oh yeah.
I was just looking at Google Maps to kind of look at that.
Yeah, the highway's up above on top of it. Get out of there, you son of a- Get out of there. Got a cat over here trying to operate my printer.
Something interesting that Abe Burnett was telling us was how when you were in a caboose, you pretty much were always bracing yourself because you never knew when you were going to get flung against a wall.
Oh, slack action.
Man, I can't believe that guy chopping all those things into one line rows.
All the clerical stuff.
Imagine how much paper they went through.
The common
And you just
Get back.
imagine you drop one car, you've done lost. Now one slip.
getting back to what you were talking about, Abe, there. Now this is coming around through Merrimack Bottoms and down into White. This big S curve is at Merrimack Bottoms. My buddy's father, he had about 1,000 pumpkins out in that bottom right there. There's several good company shots there, passenger and freight trains. Look at that little covered hopper.
Yeah, is that an HC1 or HC3? Those are neat little hoppers with the black ends and the gray color.
I watched all these movies and made notes, and I bought a bunch of model railroad cars if anybody wants a copy of it. This is a white, just east of Matewan.
What color were the caboose interiors? It looks like a gray.
They're kind of a pale green.
They were green,
Green, the old
up
ones.
until the 50s. And
Yeah,
then
that's-
late 50s, they got painted gray, according to Ken
The
and
bridges
Abe.
Was that color green that the government decided during World War II was soothing to human beings?
No, it's more of a, it's not that lime institution green. It's a
Schoolhouse green.
yeah. It's in fact, I don't know that it's the same green that's inside the cabs, but it's that, I don't know what you'd call it, more regular green than mint green.
Those pictures of those bridges back there, a few frames. Those are at Hatfield Tunnel, just west of Matewan there. Larry and I went down there, and when they were, I guess they're all decked now, aren't they, Larry?
Oh yeah, they've been replaced with pan bridges now.
But we went down there one day, and
All this
while they were setting them and working on them,
ballasted bridges with deck pans.
You think those guys are tied off right? Looks like they actually are.
All right, Tim. So,
yeah, go on up to where it shows the whole bridge at Cooper.
all right. I love that bridge, man. I'm going to,
That's
Even
looking
though-
at
somebody
looking
made it
east.
in brass. I'm going to make it in plastic one of these years.
that's looking east into the cut right there that's looking east.
That bridge there, and here, stop it right there. Now, my dad was an iron worker, and he, they laid the girders and set the girders. They were connectors for Virginia Bridge and Iron. That was a contract job. They weren't railroad people, and they had barracks up in those cuts where they were digging the new line. They set some barracks in there for them to stay, and they kind of looked like camp cars. They were oblong like that and whatever. And one day, one Sunday, my dad and another guy, Bluefield had a professional baseball team, the Bluefield Orioles. and one of these minor league teams that was, affiliated with Baltimore and whatever. But anyway, the Milwaukee Braves were playing an exhibition game as they came out of spring training to go back to Milwaukee. And my dad and another guy got to talking to Warren Spahn. And Warren gave him some money and said, "Hey, go over and get me a hot dog and a Coke." He said, "If I go over there, they'll mob me and I'll never be able to get away from there." So my dad went over and got Warren Spahn a hot dog and a Coke. That was kind of life back then. Everybody had a professional baseball team. All those coalfield towns had theirs at the bridge. And
look at that steam derrick.
yeah.
Now we had some discussion on the list a few years back about how the new line laid in relative to the old line.
There's the old line, as you see there in the
Yeah,
background.
you can see the old line up on high, and right behind the bridge, you can see the branch that went down into the valley.
Yeah,
So if you go there today, if you go to the west end of the bridge, you can still see a little bit of evidence of where that branch line went down in there.
Yeah.
Most of it's covered
that
up
was-
at this point.
Yeah, sure can. There's pile of ties down in there. I walked down in there a little ways.
that was the angle branch. And when the 2092 fell and blew up, that angle branch made it real convenient to recover all the boiler and all that of where the 2092 had blown up.
Well, the boiler went back up on our grade, didn't it?
Yeah, it blew back up on the grade.
All right. I've got a message up on my screen. I don't know if everybody has. It says a participant has asked you to start AI Companion. All participants and invitees will be able to access topics and content from this meeting. You can change access permissions in the AI Companion. Does anybody know anything about this?
I clicked it. It probably will give you a transcription of the whole meeting.
Our conversation and everything.
Yep.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to hit start AI Companion, and if it blows up, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, we use those for work.
Got it.
All right. I'm going to minimize that. And I think this right here is down at Bearwaller where they filled in and made that tunnel. Is that right?
I think you can drive back through that tunnel, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a brief snippet. Now we're at the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had back to that tunnel. See, they had a line up in that holler, right on the other
Yeah.
side of that tunnel.
That
There
was
a temple-
where
there was a temple there at one time.
oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what coal company was up there. Was that Mill Creek?
The foundations are still there.
Yeah. If I'm thinking right, and if this is the right orientation, the road that follows the creek is either the photographer is standing on it or it's right behind him. And they built the pass under and then filled that whole area. And on the other side of this would have been the line that went up to, I believe it was Mill Creek. Don't quote me on that, but one of the big coal companies had an operation up there.
Yeah, I think those barracks were on Mill Creek property that I was telling you where they put
That
in
operation was just on the other side of that field right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're back at the new Elkhorn Tunnel.
They went further. Yeah, there you go.
Now I love this shot right here. Let me stop it. If I am correct, and I don't know, somebody else jump in, but the high line up there would have been the low grade line that was put in what, 1922?
Correct.
And then just the line of poles that you see just above all the rock there, I'm guessing
That's
is
cat.
part of the original line up to the old Elkhorn Tunnel. Anybody?
I'd say that's right.
I think that's right, yeah.
And of course, when the Elkhorn Tunnel was completed, the electrification was discontinued shortly thereafter.
Yeah. But this, for me, in modeling this area, this is great stuff because I can see how all three of the different lines lay relative to each other, which is something that I hope to get around to modeling one of these years.
When you go up in there now, it's just hard to believe that there was 3 different railroads built in there. You know?
It certainly is, and the original line was covered up almost entirely when they did the new one. So evidence of it's hard to find. I took a walk about 10 years ago. I took a walk back in there, and you could still see some of the old concrete footings for the electrical poles. So there's every once in a while you can see a piece of it, but it's few and far between.
Well, I'd love to have one of those low wire signs that had the light bulbs around it.
Yeah.
That would have been a prime electrification.
Here's a great shot. You got the low grade line, the train's on the low grade line, still under electrification. And right down below it would have been the original line, but it's all torn up and covered up by the new grade.
Oh, which direction are we looking?
You're looking west, I believe, toward the east portal of the Elkhorn Tunnel.
The tunnel would be behind us.
Say again?
Right, correct. The tunnel will be behind us in this picture. Correct?
I don't think so. If I'm not mistaken, Cooper would be behind us, and we're headed up toward.
Okay, so you're saying that's the east end of the tunnel right there.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
We'll be headed toward the east end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But they really changed the complexion of that area when they put that new line in. It's hard to piece together exactly how the old stuff was.
Double door boxcars.
I went and walked all that up there at the powerhouse there a couple years ago when we were all engaged in that conversation about it.
There's the old coal wharf at Bluefield.
What's that building right there next to the engine?
Scale house.
Okay.
Now that is W.T. Ross right there. He retired as superintendent of transportation. And he was an assistant road foreman on the Scioto Division during World War II. I have about 6 hours of oral history tapes on him.
2125, another one of my number plates. That's 2 of them on the movie.
Now this guy, the next guy you're going to see here is that man is Ashland Oliver, and he committed suicide. Bill Ross told me, and he was part of the test department, transportation.
You see the RPO behind him?
I did see that, number 91.
Ashburn Oliver was the man's name. There's Ashburn again. There's the old motor cars that ferried the hump riders back and forth.
Yep.
Dedicated track, what? There's a dedicated track for that one.
Yeah. And Bluefield was natural gravity from Mercer Street in both directions. There's one of those cars. Somebody ought to model one of those. Come out with a brass model of that for about $800 or $900, Jim.
There you go.
Not too many guys modeling Bluefield Yard. Kind of a big undertaking.
There's Ashburn Oliver and W.T. Bill Ross.
So is that a BPD combine in the background there?
I think so.
Probably.
Can't see quite enough of it.
Probably used on those Coalfield locals, 9 and 10 and 11, 12.
Okay, so Tim, these are the houses that you were talking about would be make a big
those
model
are-
project.
Yeah, those are one variation of them. Yeah,
Okay,
boxes. They were just everywhere on the railroad. It would be a good universal model to make.
I think I already modeled that.
Yeah, you did. Well, no, yours was a tool house.
I thought that was the same building. It sure looks like it. Oh,
You had a tool house at the convention night.
that might be a tool house, but it might be I think it was a phone shed there, wasn't it?
Had that little cross that comes down. You did have that right. And that would be a good model too. The tool houses, the corrugated one and the old board and batten one. Jim, those would be both good.
Get us pictures and drawings.
There is a drawing of the board and
See,
batten.
there's that green inside the cab there. That's closer to what Ken was showing me on the in the cabooses interior.
Are you saying we had a inside shot here?
Yeah, just right in that area.
Let's run it and see. Yeah, okay. So you got the
There it is. It says
vermilion, and whoever said it was more green than the government color is correct. It's darker than what the.
I don't know that that's the
But
exact same
that's
color as the
probably
caboose.
aged. You know, that's probably you got coal smoke and all smudged all over it and everything. It's probably aged.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have aged down from what I remember around the government buildings back in the day.
Yeah, that spot right there at the bottom of the window looks like it's pretty clean with people's hands running across it all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a good resource right there.
Ken
And
has
above it on the
a
seal,
We've got some cab. I got a cab switch here somewhere that's got that green on it. I think a couple gauges. I think got maybe that green on the edge of them where they. But the caboose cabs seemed like to me were lighter color than that. But
yeah,
Yep.
that's Dry Branch, Virginia.
Harrisburg.
There's a tool house.
Yep.
No, it's Dry Branch. That's Dry Branch.
Okay. All right. So, where are we saying this is?
Dry Branch.
Harrisburg.
I say Dry Branch.
Just west of Harrisburg.
Right there's the. Hell, I started pointing at the screen like I'm not there. Am I?
There's a tool house.
There's a
I'd
little
say pictures taken from the bridge.
little tool car there on the sidetrack too.
Right.
Yeah.
So where's that? The spur line that's running off in front of the tool house. Where's that headed to?
That's just a spur track, I think. If
Yeah, it's the
shot
station
on the
track.
other side of-
Harrisburg.
yeah,
There was
a
an
shot on the
industrial
other
there. I'm
side.
trying to think of what it was.
There's a shot looking back to the right of that.
Pictures taken from the bridge.
Right. 460 bridge.
Yeah.
Now,
I got-
stop it.
Yes.
Stop it.
This gentleman back here, at the right, standing up all the way, that is Gurdon P. McGavick, who was considered, the designer of all these modern coal burning steam locomotives. And this man here in the center is Voice Glaze, and he was part of that design team, mechanical engineer. And the man over here on the right is Mr. Reynolds, who was superintendent of motor power. I don't know who the guy in the background was, but this man on the right with the suit jacket on is H.W. Reynolds.
So the fellow leaning over with the pencil in his hand is McGavick. Is that what you said? Tim?
Oh, that's Glaze. McGavick is the guy standing up.
On the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Granny.
On the right, in the blue jacket, right? The guy on the left we said was Reynolds.
No, the guy on the extreme left is Gurdon P. McGavick.
Down there. Does that look like an S1 drawing?
And then this is, no, this is Voice Blaze in the middle, and over on the right with the suit jacket on is H.W. Reynolds.
Did you talk to any of these guys?
Yeah.
Tim?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I got tapes of Glaze and McGavick both. And McGavick, his people were from down in Southwest Virginia on the Bristol line, and they go back to the Virginia and Tennessee days even. And I've got a waybill that was signed by his one of his people that was a McGavick that was an agent down in there around 7 Mile Ford or somewhere. There's Mr. Reynolds again and Glaze. Got a great quote from Glaze. He said that those were grand old days. He said you could look at a drawing that you made and then go down there on the shop floor and actually see it come to life.
Those roller bearings.
I don't know.
Quartering machine, I think.
What are those, Larry? Class A drivers?
Yeah. Well, it could be either, but I think that's a quartering machine where they're quartering.
Niles quartering
They were,
machine.
yeah, they were. It was a lathe. They're
Now it's in a way.
Turning a tire there.
yeah, they were.
Different shop.
You have to wonder with Wheeling, all those engines there, if they ever drop one. Pappy Hausman, I've got a tape of him. He told me that they did drop a low pressure engine from about 3 feet.
Huh.
By mistake. There's a watch box again that I was talking about, Jim.
What does a watch box mean? Does that mean he was watching for?
Shanny,
Little
yeah.
Shanny that he's talking about. They used them for everything.
Okay.
Bridge, yard guys, place to get warm, switchman.
Yeah.
They were everywhere. I found a picture of one at 57 crossover there, Tim. I didn't realize that.
Really?
You wonder what they had one plumb out 57 crossover for, but they did.
Yeah. Well, maybe to, help with the movements. Who knows?
Yeah, or something.
They kept
Where
watch.
was the ice dock at? Where was this ice dock at in relationship to everything else?
Schaefer's. As you're looking west over on the left side.
Hold on. Oh, what was that? Oh, never mind.
Well, wait a minute. I want to back up anyway, because we get to see one of my favorite things that caused me a lot of confusion in the early days. Just had a discussion with the Reverend Jim. This shows a hump signal.
Yeah.
Which is different than all the other signals.
Yeah.
All those position light and color position light signals on the N&W.
Well, it was interesting seeing one at Bluefield.
Yeah. Let's see. How far did we want to get? Did we want to go back to the icing?
I was actually no, I was looking at the top of that boiler. I was thinking I saw something else, but I didn't.
Okay.
I can't imagine how much those blocks weighed.
Oh God.
300 pounds. Standard weight was 300 pounds.
Thank you. I could probably have done the math and figured it out, but hey, what was going on there? Go back to that for just a second. What was over top of the tender? It almost looked like there was something hanging over top of the engine.
Tell me when you want to stop.
Right there. Look right over top of the coal. There, it looks like it's dragging along with the engine tender. It's like connected. Is that the radio system?
No, I don't think it would be connected.
Watch it move. Watch it move with the engine.
It does seem to be attached, doesn't it?
It's attached.
I wonder if that's how the radio system worked.
Could have been.
Maybe it wasn't a radio. Maybe
I was going to say, technically, that ain't a radio then.
Yeah. If it's got a wire, it ain't wireless.
Yeah, yeah. If they drug a telephone line back and forth,
That's
Those hump
crazy.
engines,
that is, yeah, man. I'd like
they
to
were
see that
early
in
applications
detail.
of telephones. Hump engines were.
Yeah, looks like loop wire.
All right, I'm gonna ask some guys about that. If Tim don't know, I don't know who would.
That's Black's talked about it.
Yeah, he might know.
Yeah, he was pretty up on those systems they had on those yard engines. You can spot a lot of stuff in pictures at the archives if you look.
Well, now that I know to look for it, I will definitely be looking at it.
Yeah, they had the squawk boxes and all that on the front of a lot of those engines.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was on the back of the tenders too.
Yeah, they had some on like the pilot.
The Y5s had them.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily the Y5s, but the ones that
Look
were
at the
in yard
cabooses.
service.
Look
Right.
at the cabooses over there.
There goes 5450.
Going right along.
Rolling along.
Yeah. How did they shoot this pacing shot?
Somebody was walking fast.
Oh, well,
They
he was
probably
pretty
had one.
tall.
I don't know how they could have
Well,
done it. without
luckily,
the
they had
drone.
one of them there selfie
Right,
sticks
riding
that
another
was
car.
out there.
Had a K2A following along. So,
Look at the size of that car next to it.
yeah.
You know what's funny is you see all these tank cars everywhere, but they only owned a couple of them.
Yeah.
Part of the coach yard. I know where one of those wigwags is.
That's
Harry does too. I know where two of them are right here within in almost walking distance.
Right there. Look, 1700.
Pipe,
Yep.
pipe loaded.
That'd be a Y2.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of late for those things to be around.
2154.
Another horrible looking job.
No scarcity of manual labor jobs.
Yeah.
Whatever they had in those sacks is probably
Yeah,
banned.
did you catch that Northern Pacific car? That was a single sheath wood car.
Atlantic Coastline car.
There's an outside brace. There's been a bunch of those too.
Bales of waste or cotton.
Pennsylvania.
A lot of
Huh, look at the stack on that Z.
Of course, those tank cars, they weren't generally owned by the railroad too much anyway.
there's tank cars are hard to find on HO scale. Those old 8,000 gallon ones and everything that would make an oil train in World War II or something.
All right. So who's the automobile buff here that can tell us what year the car is? And that
I
should
don't
tell us
know.
what year the film was released.
Looks to me like a DeSoto.
I don't know.
And it would be probably a 49 or a 50 DeSoto. 50s would have probably come out when this
All
was
right.
filmed, fall of 49.
I'll have to Google that tomorrow. Start.
That looks like a
Look at
DeSoto to me.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any observations?
You see the rail here's got braces every 2 feet.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, look at all the asbestos coming off the brake shoes. Look at the ballast, how fairly well it was lined up. Not as well as we've seen in a lot of instances, but you could still tell that it was string lined at one time.
All right. Who was commenting on rail bracing?
Yeah, look at the inside rail there. See
Yeah.
all the braces every other tie,
Hmm.
or even maybe every tie, like they braced it like a switch, like they expected it to turn over.
Well,
But
it
that's
looks like
a
there's two
guardrail.
rails there.
It's like a guardrail. or
Yeah, it's a guardrail.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's even more interesting.
something. Well, it is because it's kind of on the wrong side of the curve for the brace. I don't.
Yeah.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course, you don't know what's behind it. That's it.
So the forces, as that thing's coming around, are going to be toward the outside of the curve, right? So
Correct.
they're guarding against those inner wheels slipping toward the middle. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I don't see any super elevation on the curve itself, so they had to rely on something else to keep the wheels on the track, right?
Yep.
It looks like a little bit of super elevation to me, maybe.
Does it?
Yeah.
There's a little bit.
I can't tell.
Well, yeah, look over at the other track. You can tell quite a bit of elevation in it. So
All right. Yeah, I see that.
They didn't use flange greasers back then, did they? That wouldn't have been a greaser.
No, they hand grease some of the curves,
Okay.
but not with flange oilers. There's that car I'd like to have a model of.
Yeah, by the time you pay for all the tractors, that'll be an expensive car.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But those weren't tractors on there. What was that? Anybody have any farm knowledge?
Let me back up and
I'm trying to tell. I can't tell whether it's a baler.
Cultivators or thrashers, no?
John Deere, or whatever.
Yeah, probably thrashers, but they don't have the wheels on them.
No, yeah, I think it's the thrashers.
Okay.
A&W, Tuscan flat car. I'd settle for just regular tractors piggybacked on top of one another, back and forth.
well, Tim, there's if you want to load, there's a flat available. It's a post merger car, but you can get a load of truck cabs to put on it.
That
Mac
wasn't
cabs.
back in the steam era.
No, it's not steam era for sure.
But looks like they put the tractors inside, Tim, so you don't see them.
Well, I've seen them. I can remember seeing them piggybacked up on top of one another,
There's a Bristol line local, 71 or 72, looks like.
Yeah. 105.
Certainly looks like it's doing more than 30 miles an hour. So what's in these boxcars that they've got the
They moved a lot of stuff out of Chicago and.
But did you see the ones with the doors open with the railings put on them?
No.
There were 2 or 3 of them together.
So that I don't know if that's what it is, but though that you'd put that wood there and then
right there,
canvas on the inside, and they would put
for a grain car,
soy or whatever, grain or whatever in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's what's going on there, but that's what it looks like.
Most grain doors were solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd leak out if you had
they put
gaps
on the inside of them.
They did.
Did
I?
I?
Did see the St. L. Dixie line car.
is the door actually on the car?
Good question.
Maybe converted for brick loading and just.
It looks like it's see-through, doesn't it?
Yeah, the door's
Yeah,
No, it's that double door car, and
that was for something of substantial size that they didn't want fall through the door.
There's also an outside braced wood car.
Wood car too, yeah. Northern Pacific looks like.
That's the high-speed telegraph bug. That's different from a normal key. That was made by Vibraplex company. It's like a beetle, a beetle shell and arms out and everything. So they called it a bug.
See, there's 2 of those doors right there.
Yeah, another shot.
Looks like they may have been loaded together, but this is a Santa Fe. The second car was a Santa Fe car. That first car looked like that Northern Pacific car.
I can't see what's behind the door though.
I can't either.
It's interesting.
A lot of reefers.
Yeah.
I put together a list of cars and I bought after watching all these movies and whatever through the years of what kind of cars were moving on N&W trains. And I have, an equal amount of Pennsylvania, New York Central, and like 5, 6, 7, 8 of each road, and then other roads. If anybody wants it, they can email me and I'll
Stop it, on the clock.
Yep. Back up.
I didn't see who made it.
A lot of us have talked about that clock. We think it was just put in there for the movie. Nobody ever saw a clock like that.
Not a Seth Thomas #2 regulator, that's for sure.
See there?
Yeah.
It's like an illuminated clock. Ain't nobody ever saw that clock. It was kind of interesting that it's got the
Like
on it.
Art Deco lettering or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Very non-standard.
Look at that second hand. It was odd too.
Got a big clinker down there on the track glowing.
There's tobacco hogs' heads in the background.
Yep.
Oh, that tobacco, big business one day.
Yeah, we had 2 tobacco warehouses here in Huntington.
Oh yeah, they had 3 or 4, Mount Sterling, Lexington.
4 heads.
My grandpa, he wasn't selling Huntington. He hauled all his down to Mount Sterling, sold his down Mount Sterling.
See that rig headed down the pike. They're headed to Moorhead to deal with Matt Dykes, where the prices are higher for the world's greatest buyer. Matt Dykes is there to see you treated fair at the Moorhead, Kentucky warehouse. Moorhead Tobacco Warehouse. That's what.
All I remember is sold to American.
I'm glad that was recorded. Put that on the
On
website.
TV, Larry.
I'd be right up there with Bill Monroe.
I can't wait to see what the AI did with that when it interprets.
Yeah, Tim's a multi-talented man.
Maybe we can release our first NWHS single.
I have to have
The only
forum at the
thing
convention.
that in the movie that I can produce is his agent's hat right off.
That's very cool.
Badge and the NW over on the side there that holds that together.
All right. I tell you what, if there's no more
like a Navy chief, huh?
no more overarching comments, what I'm going to do is stop the recording, and then we can hang on and shoot the breeze for as long as anybody wants to.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's see where I do that now.
Mike Rector, are
Yes.
you gonna make a presentation in the show at the convention down at Radford?